What's up, people? Chris here. I haven't done a video in a while, and I've been wanting to do one of these videos, and I don't know why it takes me so long to do these things, but I finally did one. I got a bunch of questions on my Periscope asking like, how do I make my lineups? I got so many of them today. So yeah, I'll go ahead and just kind of give you guys an idea of kind of how I roll, kind of like what I do, and yeah, just give you guys my ideas on how I make my NBA lineup. If you see what's in front of you here, it's my old ass video. I haven't updated this thing in forever. 2014. So I've obviously grown as a DFS player, and I've increased my betting by a lot. I think in this video I played not anything. Let's see if I can find how much I betted on here. Let's see. Okay, so this is how much I used to bet. I used to bet like $2. Here I am. I'm a lot skinnier. I need to get that skinny again, yo. I really need to get that skinny again. But yeah, this is what I used to play. I used to fuck around, only play with $2, and this is kind of how I used to do it. And this strategy is so trash. That's why I had to do an updated version of this. So yeah, I'll just kind of show you what has changed here, and you guys will see the giant improvement of how much money I used to play and how much I play now. So let's move on. Let's go show you what I did today. So obviously a big difference of what I used to play. I used to only play. I played a couple tournament lineups. Now I play one lineup in pure cash. I find it the most profitable way to do this, and I'm not looking to take down any tourneys. This is what I'm always looking to do, just cash every day, cash and double ups, and just get more extra cash in my pocket. I find myself betting $200 to $400 a day. Really depends on how I feel. I slowly developed how much I played. Like you see in that video, I bet like maybe $4 a day. It increased to like maybe 10 to 20 to 50 to 100. 250, now to 200, and now I just increased my betting up to $300 to $400 a day. So that's just kind of like how much I've grown as a DFS player. And yeah, let me just show you guys. So let's just look at my lineup for today, and I'll kind of give you like the analysis behind each play, and just kind of what I thought. So I'll just kind of give my analysis behind each play, and then to explain the play. So Drew Holiday, was thinking him because the point guards on the slate, there were so many good point guards on the slate. There was Curry, Westbrook, Lillard, all those motherfuckers. They were really, really nice. Fucking Rondo commented lit. Shout out to Rondo. That's my boy. I'll get to him in a second. But yeah, basic reason behind Holiday, high-paced game against New Orleans. Only 7.7K, has been killing it off the bench. So I kind of went with him. Donald Sloan, another person who's getting 30 minutes. He played a really poor Phoenix team, and at 4.6K, I couldn't pass that up. He had some really nice value there. Evan Fournier has been killing it ever since Tobias Harris has left. He's gotten more minutes, and he's gotten higher usage rate, so he's been doing really, really well. James Harden kills Portland, and he just is a monster. James Harden is a monster, and it was a high-paced game against Portland. I had to get Harden in my lineup, and he killed it. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Ever since Henson's been out, he's been killing it. He was 8K, so I needed about 40 points from him, and I'll get into my value scale and shit in a second, but I kind of just want to give a brief explanation of my picks. Giannis. Boston doesn't guard big very well, and that's why I consider him a big, because he snatches rebounds, blocks, does so many things to fill up the stat sheet. Sorry, guys. Got some fucking heartburn. Then Bojan Bogdanovic. Can't even say this dude's name right. Only played him because Joe Johnson was out, so I figured he'd get some extra run at get some extra minutes, take some shots. He played Phoenix. Phoenix is so awful. I figured he'd just get me about 20 points, and that's what he did. 3.5K. That's all you really want from a cheap dude like that. And then Jared Sullinger, underwhelmed, but he didn't kill me too bad. He did not hit his value, so didn't do his thing. Jabari, he did his thing. He got me the value. I was happy with what he did. And ever since Henson's been out, he's been seeing so many freaking minutes. And Boston is a team that doesn't guard bigs very well, so I figured he'd have a good game. Then Dwight Howard, Portland, again, doesn't guard bigs very well. And he has a history of killing Portland and dropping at least 40 on them, which is 5x value, which I look for. So I'll kind of show you guys, like, how do I make my lineup every day. So we'll just kind of get into it. We'll erase all this, and we'll kind of see what we do. So when I make a lineup, we have 9 spots, right? And we have 60,000 salary, right? So if we times 60 times 5, we get 30, or 60 times 5, we get 300, right? So I want to score 300 Fanduel points every day, because if I score 300 Fanduel points, more times often than not, that will cash. Cash lines are usually anywhere from 280. And if you get crazy chalky nights, which I'll talk about as well, if you get crazy nights like that, they'll be upwards in the 320. But if you're playing cash games, then you should have the players that are chalky, and we'll get into what chalky is in a second. So 60. So I'm looking to score 300 points a day. So at my point guard position, whoever I grab, I want to times their salary times 5. So it doesn't take a genius, to do this. So let me go ahead and go do that. As soon as this fucking calculator comes up. Come on. I'm sorry, this is an HP. I should probably buy a Mac or something. Come on. You piece of shit. Probably should have brought this up earlier. I'm stupid. I'll wait for it to come up, y'all. This thing is slow as hell. Come on. There we go. There we fucking go. All right, so there's the calculator. All right, so this is okay. So I finally got this out. So when I look at plays for tomorrow, like let's say I want to play Chris Paul. He's 9.8K. I want to times that times 5. So 9.8 times 5. 49 points. I need 49 points from Chris Paul. So if I look at his game log, and kind of just see, like, is he capable of doing that? Well, obviously he's capable of doing that. He gets 54, 64. He gets 42, 45. He gets a bunch of that. But is it 49? Not exactly, but it's pretty close. And he's playing the Kings, so he's probably a good shot to hit that tomorrow. So that's kind of how I go about foreseeing my lineup. Kind of what I want to look for. Just times the salary times 5, and just think, can they realistically get that, or can they exceed that? All right. So that's kind of how I go into making my lineup. And now how I go into picking my players, okay, it's a totally different process. So, like, the way I like to start my day off checking who I'm going to play, I go to Fantasy Labs Twitter, and I just I check the injury news. Injury news is a big part of where I start to make my lineup. I want to see who's starting. So, like, today, Joe Johnson was out. So Joe Johnson was out. And that's huge. That's freaking huge, because that means he's a guy who takes a good amount of shots. Someone has to take over all those shots. So, like, to kind of figure out, like, where who benefits from Joe Johnson being out, I go here. I go to here. Somebody already did it. Here. So I go to NBAWowie.com, and you see somebody already did this right here. I'll kind of show you guys. Come on, you piece of shit. Come on. Fuck, my fucking internet's so garbage. Okay, so to kind of figure out, like, how this team does without Joe Johnson, I wanna go here, and then I want to take off Joe Johnson off the court, but also want to take off all the other bums who aren't on this team anymore. So, like, Barjani's not on this team. Come on. Barjani's not in this team anymore. Detained Jones ain't on this fucking team anymore. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson is out, so I need to take him out of this. Jarrett Jack is out of this as well, if I can find him. So, like, basically everyone that's injured for the Nets, you kind of want to take out, and then you get an idea of who benefits. So, like, I click on that, submit it, click all of them off the court, and it gives you who benefits with usage rates. And I'll kind of get into usage rates in a second. Come on, you piece of shit. Come on. All right, so we go to usage here, and we see that Bojan Bogdanovic, the first person that comes up with the most amount of minute increase at 254 minutes when Joe Johnson is out. So, that was one of the main reasons I played him, because I thought he'd get a good amount of minutes, and he did today. He got a really nice amount of minutes. His usage is not high. So how I kind of figure out that his usage is high, I love anywhere mid-20s. Anywhere mid-20s for a player that's like, from 5 to 7K, I like mid-20s. Or 20s, 18 is doable because he's 3.5K, so that's fine. He's a very cheap player, so you don't need a lot from him. So right here, you see that Brook Lopez gets a giant bump. He's at 31% usage. That means that he's going to be having the ball a lot. And then Thaddeus Young, he's going to have the ball a lot as well. And we saw Thaddeus Young have a fucking 50-point game today. So there's a big correlation. There was a big correlation between him and Joe Johnson being out, and a lot of people saw that. That's why it was 44% owned. So, and he also had a good matchup against the Suns because the Suns are garbage. So that's kind of how I do it, and I just repeat this process on any player that's out just to see who benefits the most. So, like, when Kobe's out, like let's say Kobe's out tomorrow, Clarkson and DAngelo Russell, they would see a giant bump, and then they would they'd probably be staples in my lineup. So I like to get a lot of injury news to kind of get an idea of who's cheap and who I can run with. The other day, I ran with Marcus Morris at small forward because Stanley Johnson was out. They only had a 7-man rotation. So I ran Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris isn't the best player in the world, but he'll play a lot of minutes, and he has a decent usage rate. So he has around a 25% usage rate with all those people that are out right now. And he plays heavy minutes, and he's only 5K. So that was kind of my thought behind him the other day, like 2 days ago. So that's kind of how I go into making my plays here. And the usage rates, I love looking at usage rates, and if they're high and if the player's at a nice price, that's kind of how I figure it out. So that's kind of how I figure out my players, how I start figuring out my players. So obviously, let me put that strategy into effect. Memphis, Marcus Gasol is out. Jeff Green got traded. And those are two major pieces of the Memphis offense. So that means you have Mike Conley killing it right now. Mike Conley's been doing really, really well for the Memphis Grizzlies lately. So he's somebody who benefits with all those injuries lately. And he's probably somebody that's going to be in my lineup tomorrow, and he's probably somebody that will be very highly owned. And that's when you get chalky plays. So Mike Conley would probably be a very chalky play just because he already played the Lakers and went off on them. He absolutely destroyed them. And Lakers don't play defense. They're a very bad defensive team. And then where you kind of get how you tell if a defense is bad or not, you kind of just look at their defensive efficiency, which I use my friend Gunbacker as a spreadsheet at cantdfs.com. Quick plug. He does his daily passes and all that stuff on there. And I'm a member on his site, so he gives me this spreadsheet. And I use it from time to time. I already have an idea of who's bad, so like I rarely ever use it, but it's nice. It's nice to refer to. So like I'll kind of show you guys the team stats, which is what I like to look at. So like team stats, the Lakers are one of the worst defensive efficient teams. They're getting up 109 points per 100 possessions, which is god awful. That is ridiculous. So anything in the red is just awful. And if it gets more and more red, it's just more awful. So that's what it is right there. And that's why the Lakers suck right now. They get destroyed by every team. So people probably have a lot of Memphis in their lineup because they'll probably score a lot of points. So Mike Conley, it's probably a really nice play tomorrow. He has everything going for him tomorrow to be a really nice play. Good usage, decent price. Plays the Lakers. Like that's all you can really ask for. And he's 6.9K, so you need 34 points from him. And let's see. Look at his game log. 43. He had a 19 game against a really good Toronto defense. Makes sense. 41, 33, 33, 29. So like even if he doesn't get the value, he's getting really close. Like he's doing very, very well. So Conley's probably a lock for that 5x value, and that's why I like him a lot. So he's probably in my lineup tomorrow. And then we go on to people like Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes is somebody who gets a lot of minutes. A little more volatile. And what I mean by volatile, like sometimes he can just randomly not do anything, but he went off on the Lakers last game, and I think a lot of people will see that, and he has a cheap price tag, and he does get around 30 minutes a game. So That's reason to like him. And he's only 5K. You only need 25 Fanduel points for him, which he's done in two of these matchups already. And he didn't do it against Toronto. Toronto's a good team, so it makes sense. And he killed the Lakers, so he's probably a popular play at the small forward position tomorrow. As is Zach Randolph. Randolph should be another popular play that people plug into their lineup as well, just because he also does stuff. 29, 36 minutes. He's getting less and less minutes. I don't like him too much just because of the rotation of the Memphis Grizzlies. They have too many big men, so I don't like them too much. So I don't really like that too much. So when I go into making my lineups, I value minutes and I value usage rates, and then I look at matchup at the very last, unless it's like a ridiculous matchup. That's kind of how I make my lineup, and I try to balance it that way, and then I look for 5x value out of each player and see if it's possible for them getting it. So I think Matt Barnes and Conley can easily get their 5x value tomorrow, and I think they're nice to have in that Memphis game because I think everybody's going to have them. That's another thing to consider when making a lineup is everybody will have them. So how they do will dictate how the line will be in cash games. So if Matt Barnes does bad, then the line will be lower, but he's probably going to be like 50 to 70% owned. So he affects the cash line, and it shouldn't affect your lineup too much if he duds. That's the thing. So that's another reason people take they'll take plays just because they're highly owned. Because if they do bad, then it doesn't hurt you too much. But if he does good, it's going to burn you because you didn't play him. So that's another thing to consider. So Barnes and Conley probably really, really chalky plays tomorrow that people will have in their lineups. So another thing I really like to look for is whenever Sacramento's on a slate. Sacramento's a team that's god awful. So we got two teams that are god awful. Defensively, the Lakers and Sacramento. So if I go back and pull up this spreadsheet, you can see that Sacramento gives up a lot of points per possession. Okay, it does have it like that. So 106 defensive efficiency. That's still bad. That's really bad. Where it gets like decent is where it gets to like 100. But when it's over like this, it's really bad. And then still looking at like the Vegas over/under line, so we can kind of read those two to get an idea. Vegas over/under. And then I like to look at these. I like to look at the over/under lines just to see how Vegas thinks the game will be, because they do this for a fucking living, and they know how to read games a lot better than I would. So they look at and then I'll kind of show you what games you should target. So let's kind of look at it. You always want to target close spreads anywhere from like 3 to 6, or 1 to 6, 1 to 7. 7 is kind of getting it close, but 1 to 6 is usually where I feel safe targeting a game. When I get to 7 and 8, I feel a little risky, but I still see the upside in targeting a game like that. So Washington Philadelphia tomorrow is an 8.5 spread. They think Washington wins by 8.5, but that should still be competitive into the fourth quarter. Where you start to be scared at is when the game is 10 to 15, where it can get out of hand pretty quickly. So like when Golden State plays the Suns, that's probably a game you don't want to target because they're probably going to get blown out and they won't see the fourth quarter. So that's where I kind of worry about it. 8.5, that's still decent to where you can target it. 1.5 spread, 1.5 spreads, 5.5 spread. We got a lot of close spreads tomorrow. And then where you really want to target is these high over-unders, 219, really nice point total. That means both teams are expected to score over 100 points, which is great. Clippers, Sacramento. And so is and then we got Lakers, Memphis, 209, round that up to like 210. That's still around 100 points each. So that's really nice over-unders. You like to get these these like 210s to 220s is looking like really, really nice to target for basketball purposes. Or DFS purposes. And then one more other thing to consider when targeting a game is the pace of play. So when you have these games that are super like high paced, the ball just goes up and down the court. This is how you figure it out. Pace, the pace. So 102 possessions per game the Sacramento gets. They're the fastest team. So if Sacramento were to play like Phoenix, that would be a game where I would target a lot of players in. So Sacramento, they'll play the Clippers tomorrow. So I got to find the Clippers. Where the hell are they? Oh, yeah, LA Clippers. So they run 98, and then Sacramento runs 102. And then you kind of just average that out. They're probably somewhere here in the middle. That's probably going to be a nice up-tempo game between the Clippers and Sacramento. And then Washington and Philadelphia, two of the highest-paced teams, they're going to play tomorrow. That's going to be a game that's like up and down the court. That's a game you could target as well. So that'll be a game that people probably have like a John Wall in, things like that. So that's what I like to look for, pace of play. That means a lot of fantasy stats come out in these games. Lots of steals, lots of blocks, lots of rebounds, lots of everything are in these games that are really up in tempo. Yeah. So I'll kind of go on how I pick my plays now. So tomorrow at the point guard position, we got Chris Paul, we got Rajon Rondo, we got Kyle Lowry, we got Kyrie Irving, we got Derrick Rose, who is a usage machine. He fucked a lot of people over the other day, but I can forgive him because I didn't play him. So if we're just looking for value, and we're looking like plays we like, we got Chris Paul playing Sacramento. Sacramento is one of the worst teams in the NBA, and Chris Paul is a dude who can definitely expose that and just rack up steals, assists, points, stats like that, especially in a messy game like Sacramento. This is probably a really nice spot for Chris Paul. I would estimate his ownership be around 20% tomorrow against Sacramento. He's also a nice late night hammer, which people like to have late night plays. So that's kind of how I look at Chris Paul. I got to think of myself, can he get me 49 points? I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible in a game like this. So like to get an idea, like just to think like how does Chris Paul do against the Kings? I kind of look at StatMuse just to get an idea of how he's done against them before. So like today I looked up Evan Fournier's game log versus the Warriors. It didn't matter though because it wasn't relevant to the situation today. But I still like to look at it just to get an idea because like there's some teams that still haven't changed, like the Sixers. They're still relatively the same trash team that they were last year. So, I still like to look at game log. So maybe if I look at Marcin Gortat, I'll be like, how did he do against him before? And if he has like a bunch of games where he's hitting value in every one, then I feel a little safer about playing him. So we'll look at Chris Paul, Fanduel game log versus Sacramento. And you can look this up on StatMuse. This is another tool I like to use just to give me some more trust in trusting a play. I don't use it primarily, but it definitely it helps me out. It makes me feel more comfortable playing a player. So this is giving me only 2012, so I'll put last 2 years. Sacramento's been pretty trash defensively in all their times. So as you see, like 28, 37, 42, 50. These are games with Blake Griffin as well, so you got to keep that in mind. But in his last game, he did get in foul trouble. I remember that shit. But it doesn't look too pretty, but you got to keep in mind that Blake Griffin was out. Blake Griffin was in these games, so that definitely affects Chris Paul. But this just kind of giving a rundown of how I kind of look at these things. I would still play Chris Paul, regardless of seeing this or not. So yeah, I like Chris Paul tomorrow, and yeah, kind of look at that. I like to look at their usage rates too. So another way to figure out if a player is also good is looking at their usage rate. So I think Hollinger has this stat. And they're updated in different situations. So usage rates. And you see Russell Westbrook has the highest one. And then Cousins has a really high one. So Cousins against the Clippers, he's always a very popular play. Harden, that's why he's so damn expensive. So I like to look at usage rates too and just kind of get an idea of how these players do. And then, yeah, that's kind of what I do. Yeah, so that's just kind of a rundown of how I look through plays. Just kind of look through all those things, kind of check like how they do against them before, kind of check their usage. I'll go on NBA Wowie, take all the players out, see how they've done before with or without players on the court, to get an idea of how good they can be. So tomorrow, also minutes are also a big thing for me. So let's go to like a player that like Jordan Clarkson, who's getting a lot of minutes lately. at 6.2K. He got moved to shooting guard, and he's been getting it done, killing it. 6.2K, you need 30 points from him roughly. So if you look at his game log, he's been killing that, except in the Milwaukee game, and he got you 24 in the Milwaukee game. You can't even be that mad at him for that. Like, that's 5. That's about 6 points off. He didn't fucking give you like a 2 or something. Like, he got you at least 25. So and he gets heavy minutes in just about every game. He got 41 last game. He's going to play Memphis again. So I kind of look at that. And he gets heavy minutes, and he's getting it done. So he just played Memphis, and that didn't really bother him too much. So I don't mind him. So there is situations in which I won't play a player because they're being guarded by somebody. And, you know, that's somebody like probably like Tony Allen. So like if Tony Allen were to play tomorrow, he's a very good defensive player. And I probably don't want to mess with him too much. But if Clarkson got like 40 minutes, if Clarkson got 40 minutes, then I feel like that would negate that just because he's on the court so much. And, you know, he's a very active player. And he has a pretty decent usage rate on the Lakers. It's in the mid-20s, somewhere around there. So his usage rate is decent. He get a lot of minutes. I feel like that would negate Tony Allen. But let's say if I were to play somebody who's more limited and they were to play Tony Allen, then I probably wouldn't want to play them just because Tony Allen's a very good defensive player, and he usually shuts shit down. Also, like Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's another dude I like to avoid. I don't like to mess with him too much. Unless the usage rate is there and the price is there, and there has to be so many things for there to be right for me to play against a guy like Kawhi Leonard. And to get an idea of like who the best defensive players are, you kind of look at the DVP sheet, and I know people use DVP to death. I like to use it just as a reference. I don't like to use it too much. But yeah, you can kind of look at their last 5. You can find this anywhere. I'm just using Gundacker's DVP sheet, but there's so many of them. If you just type in like NBA DVP, there's a bunch of them that come up. So you can kind of, and Roto Grinders has one, so you can get this information anywhere. Just type it in and look it up. But so it looks like the Warriors are one of the worst point guard teams. The Suns are one of the worst point guard teams, and maybe that helps you think like, oh man, Donald Sloan was a really good player today. He killed it for the Suns. And then Westbrook against the Pelicans fucking scored 45 real points. Conley against the Lakers killed the Lakers. So, you know, things like that help a lot. And then to get an idea of like who's one of the best teams, you go down here. You look you look at the Charlotte Hornets. You look at the Clippers. CP3 is a very good defender, and that kind of explains how he shut down Rondo, or maybe he shuts down Rondo tomorrow. So you know he's a very good defender. Kyle Lowry's a good defender. Miami Heat play very good team defense. Portland Trailblazers, I'm kind of confused. Are they on here? The Rockets, the Rockets have Patrick Beverley. The Kings have Rondo, so that makes no sense. I would definitely target Rondo. But this is kind of how you get an idea of like who are the better defenders in the league at each position. So like at shooting guard, we'll go to shooting guard and we'll look and see that the Pistons, Magic, Spurs, Raptors, basically teams that play pretty good team defense will be good in these categories. So that's kind of why I look at it. But obviously, you know, I don't take DVP that seriously. I always think usage rates and minutes overcome just about anything, and that's what makes me different than a lot of other people out there. People love to use fucking DVP to death. I just like to use it to feel a little more comfortable about something, or to make a good decision about something, because I already have an idea of like who are the best defenders in the league. You know, Beverly, Allen, CP3, Kawhi Leonard, people like that. And another way you can also check how good they are. I know Dion uses this. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Real GM for NBA. This is another way where you can check how good a player is defensively. They have defensive efficiency. So I like to go on here. And Dion uses this thing a lot. My boy D Rose Jr. He uses this thing a lot. So we'll go to the stats. Come on, you piece of shit. And then we'll go to the stats. And then I have to go to, you go right here. You click on the change settings, little part right here, the plus. Oh, come on, you piece of shit. and then you go to come on, I hate my freaking computer. It's so trash. You go to stat type, and then you go to advanced stats, and then you go down here, and then it gives you defensive ratings. All right, come on. So you see, like, Whiteside is one of the best defenders because he swats the shit out of everything that gets close to him. So these are one of the worst players defensively. So, but what this basically means is like points per possession against them. So like Grievous Vasquez is god awful. So let's say Grievous Vasquez gets a start, and let's say Grievous Vasquez starts for Milwaukee, and the other point guard is like Rajon Rondo or something. Like maybe you want to think about Rajon Rondo just because Vasquez is so bad, or CP3 because he's playing such an awful defender. Devin Booker's been horrible. Goodwin's been horrible. Nick Young's been horrible. So all these people have been horrible. So that kind of gives you an idea on who's bad. But then to get an idea who's good, I do it this way. So you just click it again. And if they're giving up less than 100 points per possession, then that's when they're really, really good. So Whiteside, Duncan, Leonard, Drummond's been pretty good. Rasul Butler, he rarely plays, so I would take that from a grain of salt. David West. So a bunch of Spurs are on here because they play very good team defense and they don't give up a lot of points. DeAndre Jordan, Joakim Noah. So a lot of good defensive players on here. Bogut, Green. Aldridge isn't even that good defensively, but since he's in the Spurs system, he's a good player. He's a good defensive player. So I kind of look at things like that to kind of figure out who are the best defensive players and whether or not I should avoid them. So that's another tool I'll use to kind of figure out who's good, who's not good. Moving on, and then I'll kind of show you how I fill in the rest of my lineup here. So point guard, I like Lowry against Cleveland. Lowry plays very heavy minutes. As you see, his minutes are very, very high. When the game is close, they can tick up to 40. He's pretty much in the whole game. He's 8.8K. He's going up against the weaker parts of the Cavs defense, which is Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving does not know how to defend a fucking rock. So Kyle Lowry should have a good game tomorrow. He's 8.8K. So on that scale, I want about 43, 44 points. And, it's kind of hard to figure out when you're going to get that, but I feel like tomorrow's a day where he will get that. And it's a big game. This guy shows up for big games and close games. He's going to be playing a lot of minutes. So I love Lowry tomorrow. And he's probably somebody I'll really consider in my lineup. If not, I'll probably go a little safer, maybe run CP3, maybe even run Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's also been getting it done, getting 40 points back-to-back. Got this in a blowout, so he's also been getting it done. He's very underpriced right now. So if you knew Kyrie Irving last year, you would know he's like a 8 to 9K player. Right now he's very underpriced. So maybe he's somebody else I take instead of Kyle Lowry. Or maybe I go down to a guy like Derrick Rose, who without Jimmy Butler is very, very good. So if I go on here to NBA Wowie, and I picked the Bulls, and then I take off all the players that are injured right now. So Mirotic, Heinrich got traded. Butler's the big one. Let's see, where's Butler? Justin Holiday I think Holiday's on that team. Well, it don't matter. He doesn't do shit. Joakim Noah's off, and then Butler's the big one. He's off. So those are all the people that are out for the Bulls right now, and then you'll kind of see why people keep playing Derrick Rose. Come on. So you see Derrick Rose has a 30% usage rate, which is an elite usage rate. That is very, very high. So the way I kind of like to compare usage rate, so we'll just round this out to 31%, and then we'll go look at one of the top, then we'll go look at the usage rates of the top players in the league. He would be in the middle right here. He has a very, very high usage rate. LeBron-like, Lillard-like, Curry-like. He has a very, very high one. And then we kind of look at his price. He's 7.2K. And then that makes sense why he keeps dropping 39, 34, 38. He had a bad game against Atlanta, which he plays right now, which is kind of ironic. And then 38, 52, 38. He's getting it done. He's very, very cheap. So maybe I want to go a little safer. Maybe I'll go with Derrick Rose at point guard instead because he can hit his value a lot easier. So that's another thing, distinguishing, who has a higher ceiling. So, probably Lowry. Lowry has 50-point potential, and he plays a lot of minutes. Maybe I consider a guy like Lowry over Rose. But then again, Rose has probably a safer floor, safer usage, and his minutes aren't nearly as high, but he's a pretty good lock for, a good amount of minutes and a good usage rate as well. So maybe I just take Rose and move on. Then shooting guard. Evan Fournier has been getting it done lately. He plays a lot of minutes, and he's been hitting value in almost all his games. I don't see why he would end tomorrow. 5.5K. So basically, I times that by 5. I get around 27 to 28 Fanduel points I need from him, and he's been he's been doing that consistently. So he's somebody I consider in my lineup. So I got to throw him in there. Him and Clarkson look like really good locks for me. So then we go up to small forward. And then this is probably where I pay up. I get a guy like LeBron. LeBron tends to do good in these matchups. It's not a back-to-back like Detroit where he came out like shit. He should play heavy minutes in a close game against Toronto in Toronto. So he should play heavy minutes. And then I need around 49 points for a play like this. And he's done it. He's very, very capable of it. He would have done it against Charlotte had it stayed close. And I think this is a game that stays close, and LeBron gets his value in. So he's somebody I really, really like. And he's somebody you have to count on for 50 points against Toronto. Moving on. And then I look at the power forward position, and I look at a guy like Miles Turner, who has a pretty nice usage rate. And gets a decent amount of minutes, gets about 30 minutes a game, and has consistently hit value in all these. 5.8K, I need about 27 points, 28 points, somewhere around there. And he just keeps doing that over and over and over. And he gets a pretty soft matchup against Cody Zeller. So he should do well. And he's probably somebody I'll play in my lineup. And then I look at a guy like Aaron Gordon, who's also getting it done. And 6.2K, I need about 31 points from him. And he's somebody who consistently does that as well. He plays 30 minutes flat, and he fills up the whole stat sheet. And Porzingis isn't the best defender in the world, so I think he continues his streak. They are in a back-to-back, so there is some worry there. But for the most part, I like him a lot. So he's somebody I consider right there. And then we go to center. And then maybe I look at a guy like Marcin Gortat, who has a really nice matchup against Philly. He threw 41 on them last time. So yeah, maybe I just look at a guy like Marcin Gortat against Philly. Philly has Okafor at center, and they're god awful. They don't defend bigs very well. So maybe I just throw Gortat in there and think he can get me 35 Fanduel points. He's been doing it pretty decently. Sometimes he'll dud it, like last game against Chicago. Sometimes he'll dud it, but for the most part, he looks pretty safe and a pretty nice matchup against Philly. So that would probably be a pretty nice lineup just to throw together for 5x value at each position for me. And if everything were to work out, that'd probably hit 300 points. If not, then obviously there'll be some people that underperformed, but that's just kind of what I look for in a lineup. So yeah, that's just kind of into the thought of me and kind of my growth as a DFS player and just kind of what I think. Yeah, that's just kind of what I think, guys. Yeah, I don't have much else to say, y'all. I hope I went through everything pretty well. I have my friend Tyler Rajon Rondo for life on Twitter, which he spells it so weird, so you probably won't catch him, but I tweet him a lot, so you might see him on my timeline at cgonzalez_16. He's somebody I talk to a lot, and he's somebody I build lineups a lot with. And just having somebody to build lineups with you helps out a lot. Just bounce ideas off each other. That's another thing that really, really helps. Finding some friends on Twitter. Twitter's the best way to find DFS people if you're always looking to find some DFS people. There's a giant community on Twitter. And just to find people you can bounce ideas off, kind of get their perspective on things. But that's just kind of a rough rundown on how I do it, on how I kind of make my lineup. So if anyone has any questions, I'll take them. I have 37 viewers right now. So if anyone has any questions, I'll check the YouTube chat, which I think should be open. So let me go ahead and check that. And I'm at 1K subscribers, by the way, y'all. So I really, really appreciate that. So I'll go ahead and check and see if this chat is fucking popping or something. Let's see. Live control room. Come on. I can't check the comments. Okay, so we already got. So what's my CG lock? For tomorrow, it's probably Conley. It's probably Conley. He's in a really, really nice spot tomorrow. It's probably him. If I have any questions, feel free to send them to me on Twitter. Gun, what do I think of Fareed? Gun is not in here, so yeah, this is my Twitter, y'all. If y'all want to send me questions on Twitter, you can send them. You can send them here. Let me bring it up. It's at @cgonzalez_16. That's my at right there. So yeah, feel free to send it to me. Thoughts on Taj Gibson? Okay, so I got a question asking me about Taj Gibson. So let's look at him. 5.3. Had a monster game. He's getting some good minutes, but he's another very volatile player. Probably not somebody I can trust in cash, but he does go up against a pretty weak front court of the Atlanta Hawks. So I think it's somebody to look out for, but I don't think I'll be on him, especially just getting 30 minutes. But he only needs 25 points for value, but he has not done that often. So I'm probably off him, but he does have a good matchup. Good Lord. But what do I think of Fareed tomorrow? Let me look at him. I saw him go super fake the other day. Fareed doesn't play enough minutes for me to really consider him. So he's a GPP play probably. Somebody you probably throw in a tournament. Yeah, that's kind of my idea there. He doesn't get enough minutes for me to really consider because that's not nearly enough playing time to really get much out of. And if he has a bad game, it looks like he's really going to have a bad game. So not trusting Fareed at all. And now let me check my Twitter because this shit is going live. Okay. Just checking my Twitter. All right, if anybody has any more questions, y'all got to let me know. So, because I might leave right now. All right. No other questions. I'm going to have to take off slate breakdown because I did not do a breakdown of this, and I do not feel like talking anymore, so I'm going to have to change the fucking title of this thing. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not getting much else questions from anyone else, so probably. Okay, I got some more comments. Redick against Sacramento looks juicy. Yeah, Redick's another dude who gets a lot of minutes, and good God, the Sacramento cannot guard a shooting guard to save their life. Needs only 25 points. He's done that lately. Scored 20+ points 2 times already. Lately, he will pull this shit on you. He's very scoring dependent, so keep that in mind. But this is a high scoring game, so this definitely fits him. So like JJ Redick, he's probably maybe somebody I would stat muse to get a better read on because he's so scoring dependent, and Ben McLemore has always been starting for Sacramento. So just to kind of give you an idea of like how he plays against them. Last 2 years. Good Lord. Come on. So it looks like Redick has already put up 30 and 28 on them already this year. And that probably bodes really well. So he's probably a really nice play tomorrow. And these are updated without Griffin. So this looks really, really nice for JJ Redick. So maybe I roll with him at shooting guard because it looks like he's a lock for value and he's really, really cheap. So he's not bad at all. I like him. Good Lord. Looking at the more. What's my Twitter again? At @cgonzalez_16. You can see it right here. This is my Twitter right here. Right here. @cgonzalez_16. You can see it right there. Got more comments. Let's see what else. Oh, and lastly, I'm liking Paul George. Paul George is somebody I have a lot of trouble trusting. So, yeah, fuck Paul George. But Moore, Etwan Moore, yeah, he definitely gets a lot of minutes. He's another dude that that's been benefiting without Jimmy Butler there. 4.6K has been getting it done. It only needs around 23-ish points to really hit value, and he's been doing that very, very consistently. So, yeah, I love Etwan Moore. Maybe I play him over Clarkson. Maybe I play him over Clarkson and get Kyle Lowry. Maybe I do that instead. That's not bad. I like that. So maybe you could do that instead. Make a mistake, Chris. I know you're not gun. I had both browsers open, yours YouTube, kept DFS. Cousins worth playing tomorrow. Big game against Clippers. Yes, I love Cousins tomorrow, man. Cousins. So we'll kind of talk about Cousins real quick. He's 10.7K, and he's playing the Clippers tomorrow. But he has a very consistent game log. If the game is close, he will go off. He didn't go off against the Spurs. Makes sense. It's the Spurs. But for the most part, this is what you're going to get out of Cousins. 55, 68, 50s, 53, 52, 53. 10.7K. You want around 53 points, 52 points, somewhere around there. 53 is probably what you want from him. Against the Clippers, very, very doable. Close game. He should be ready to go. So I love DeMarcus Cousins tomorrow. He's probably in all my lineups tomorrow. So I love him tomorrow. I'll have to figure out how I fit him in there. But yep, I do like him. Let's keep looking. Any more questions? I got a bunch of comments out of nowhere. It's crazy. And you can send them to my Twitter as well. I will check my Twitter right now. Thoughts on Korver tomorrow? So Korver is well, let me look at Korver so we can kind of determine if Korver's a good play. So Korver is 3.9K. He is Jesus Christ. All right, so I was playing Korver when he was on this little streak, but it looks like he's fallen off horribly. He's very, very cheap, and he plays a lot of minutes. So that already intrigues me, but he is very, very volatile. So it would take me a while to trust him, but he did have a good game against Chicago last time he played them. He got value. 3.9K, he won about 19 points, which I feel like he's capable of. So, yeah, maybe he's not bad at all. Thoughts on paying for tools like Fantasy Lab? I don't use it. I tried it out for a second. My friend had the password and all that shit for it, and I tried it out for a while, but it's not me. It probably help out beginners. It's probably really, really nice to help out people that are beginning DFS and making their own lineups. They give you pretty nice models on who they think is good, really nice projections, stuff like that. So yeah. It's a good tool, but like a person like me, like I don't think I need it. From Daniel Dyed Turtle, I don't know if I said that right. Do you try to use your whole salary? So that's another thing. So there, salary psychology, that has fucked me over so many times, thinking I need to pay my whole salary. So if you like your lineup, where I kind of cut the line is about 800 salary. That's where I'm kind of like, okay, I need to spend it somewhere. So, like, let's say I like Derrick Rose too much. Let's say I like Derrick Rose too much, maybe. And I love Gortat. Like, I love Gortat. 1,900 salary. I need to upgrade Derrick. I need to upgrade something, So, I don't try to spend my whole salary, but I do try to get it down to like 200 to 100 to where I can make the best lineup with it. So I'm always looking for spots to upgrade if I have like that much left over. Maybe try to go get Cousins, downgrade somewhere else, things like that. But it has fucked me over for like trading a player I really like. So like Evan Fournier, who's more expensive than Evan Fournier? So like a guy like Kobe Bryant's more expensive than Evan Fournier, but let's say I had the 800 to upgrade to Kobe Bryant, I wouldn't, because Evan Fournier has been so good at his price, giving you very consistent floor at a very cheap price. And with Kobe, you get a very volatile floor. You get 18, you get 24s, you get a rare 33. With Fournier, you get really, really cheap a cheap high floor. So situations like that, I won't pay up for. And let's say there's really nowhere else to upgrade to, then you know, I have to eat the salary. I'll eat the salary sometimes. I try not to. I try to upgrade as much as I can. But let's say I make a perfect lineup with like 800 salary left over, I'll keep it. I think Rondo will have a great game tomorrow at home, along with Rudy Gay. I like John Wall a lot as well. I think John Wall will be a very popular play just because he killed Philly last time. Only reason I don't like John Wall is because his minutes are declining. 33, 32, 32. His minutes have been declining a lot, and I do not like that, especially at a player that's damn near 10K. I want you to play at least 36 to 40 minutes, because John Wall's such a high usage player, and I want to be able to utilize him as much as I can, especially against such a trash team like Philly. So that's where I kind of don't like John Wall at, especially when I get like a guy like Chris Paul, who's a little safer in a similar game against the Kings. So I like him, but I'm not in love with him. Rondo, yeah, Rondo's been killing it. He's 9K. He needs 45 points. He's been pretty much there, or 50. You know, he's been killing it. So Rondo's not a guy I mind either. He plays a good amount of minutes, and he gets so many freaking assists. It's crazy. So I definitely don't mind Rondo. And then you said Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay is a player I don't play unless DeMarcus Cousins is out, because he gets such a huge boost when he's out. So yeah, I don't play him unless Cousins is out. He rarely hits his value. As you see, he's very, very volatile. 23 points. You do not want 23 points from a 7K player. So yeah, I have a hard time trusting him. I only ever play him with when Cousins is out, because he gets such a big usage rate bump. And yeah, he's just a lot better. So yeah. See if I get any more questions. Twitter. Keeps all research in one place, design my own model, and have some pretty sweet trends. Literally, not to mention one of their articles helped me on my way to a 5-figure cash. Just saying they rock for advanced extent. Yeah, I mean, if you like them, then yeah, that's you, man. Personally, I just like using my own model, using my own type of thoughts. It's what's helped me the most. But if that helps you, man, then that helps you. But I haven't paid for Fantasy Labs. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. Anyways, I think I might have to cut it short unless someone else gives me a question. Let me check. Okay. All right, so I think I'll head out then. Hopefully I give you guys enough tools to kind of figure out how to make your own lineup. And I'm glad you guys can see my growth as a DFS player. Obviously, it's a lot different than what I used to be. And hopefully I can make a nice $600 again. That'll be really, really nice to do. So I appreciate all of you. I hope you guys have a nice day. And thank you for watching my video. Give it a like, share it, comment, call me trash, give me all that. But that's pretty much it, y'all. Appreciate all of you, and that's it. Follow me on Twitter at @SeaGonzales_16. And bye-bye, y'all.